Hello, Oilers fans. Austin here with today's pregame report for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. These two teams will begin their rematch tonight at Rogers Place at 6 p.m. local time here in Alberta, although puck drop will likely be closer to about 6:20, maybe 6:25. And the amount of storylines, the amount of media attention, everything has built to this moment for both clubs. They've both had to go through a gauntlet to get here. For Florida, they had to go through Tampa Bay, which they dispatched in 5 games. They had to go through Toronto, which gave them a little bit of a run for their money, but in the end, they came out on top against the Leafs in 7. And then Florida, of course, completely dismantled the Carolina Hurricanes in 5. And for the Edmonton Oilers, round 1, that's kind of where their sketchy, potential elimination took place. The LA Kings gave the Oilers a terrific run for their money, and if it weren't for some interesting and terrible decisions by Jim Hiller and also the Oilers just having the will to win, refusing to go down, that series probably is a lot different, and we're talking about two different teams in the finals tonight, but that wasn't the case. The Oilers took out the Kings in 6 after losing the first 2, so they won 4 straight. Then they dismantled the Vegas Golden Knights, a very good rush team, in 5, and then they took out the Dallas Stars also in 5 after losing Game 1 to Dallas after having a third period lead. And if you're the Oilers, you got to be feeling pretty good right now in terms of your overall game. You just got Ekholm back from injury, and yes, Zach Hyman being out for the rest of the playoffs is not good. However, Jeff Skinner stepped in against Dallas in Game 5. He scored his first playoff goal of his career. He now has a point in each of the 2 games that he has played. Connor Brown should be good to go for tonight, but he is dealing with something. I don't know if it's illness. I don't know if it's injury. He is a game time decision tonight, but it doesn't matter. The Oilers have depth all throughout their lineup, but so do the Florida Panthers. And if Florida wants to defend their Stanley Cup title and do something that the Tampa Bay Lightning did in the early 2020s, do something that Pittsburgh did in the mid 2010s, and that's win consecutive Stanley Cups, well, oh boy, they are going to give the Oilers everything they have, and the Oilers have to make sure that they are ready to go. We've talked about this a lot in oil country. Extended breaks, the first time Edmonton comes back from an extended layoff is usually not a good thing. This team does take a while to get their gears going. And, from shifting from second to third to fourth gear, it takes a little bit. But I do think Edmonton, with the fans on their side, home ice advantage for the first time all postseason for Edmonton in this series, I think they have an edge tonight. It's going to be fantastic. I literally cannot wait. And I will be live streaming the game tonight. So make sure on this video you hit that like button. If you're not yet subscribed and you want to watch me react and do play-by-play commentary on the live stream tonight, make sure you are subscribed. Hit the little bell so that you're notified when I do go live. And of course, tell all your friends, tell all your family, spread it all over social media that we have terrific vibes here. Panthers fans, welcome in. Oilers fans, welcome back. And if you're a fan of any other team and you're hate watching for one of these two teams to lose, well, you're also welcome. It's a very welcoming community. Can't wait for the game tonight. So how do these pregame reports work? Well, I'm going to discuss the lineups for the Edmonton Oilers. I will discuss the playoff stats for both teams, including some advanced analytics. I'll be going over the keys to the game, players to watch, and the score prediction. So please make sure you let me know who your players to watch. Let me know your score prediction, and let me know how you think this series is going to go. I did upload a full series preview. If you have not seen that yet, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. You can check out that full series preview. You may not agree with me. I'm going to not spoil what I predicted for the series preview, but spoiler alert, I predicted these guys to win the cup this year. So let's start by getting the job done tonight. Game 1, very important. This is where you set the tone if you're the Edmonton Oilers, and to do that, put out an optimal lineup. Now, the projected lineup for the Edmonton Oilers, the first line, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, and the ageless wonder Corey Perry, who has 7 goals in the playoffs, by the way. And that line together in the postseason, they carry a 55.98 expected goals percentage. Those three, I would imagine, are going to try and get a lot of time away from Barkov. I think if you are Chris Knoblauch, you probably don't want the McDavid line going up against the Barkov line too much on home ice. The Oilers, of course, they get to dictate who they have out against Florida's lines. And I know Chris Knoblauch does like to line match, but he's not like super hard set in his line matches. But Sasha Barkov, maybe one of, if not the greatest two-way player in the entire NHL. I would probably, at least if I was head coach, keep McDavid away from Barkov's line, probably go against a different line if you're knob-block for McDavid. Let McDavid, Nuge, and Perry cook against someone else, because Barkov, I mean, he'll probably shut McDavid down, and or they'll be even, right? They each get a goal, they each help produce offense, but at the end of the day, if you're knob-block, don't put McDavid against the Barkov line. I think Barkov should go up against the Draisaitl line. Yes. Leon Draisaitl throughout the postseason has kind of embraced this two-way shutdown role. Earlier in the playoffs, he was put next to Podkolzin and Kasperi Kapanen back in the Vegas series, and he was tasked with shutting down the Jack Eichel line on Vegas. And right now, it looks like Evander Kane, Leon Draisaitl, and Kasperi Kapanen will be together. Now, of course, you need Kane up in the top six with the absence of Zach Hyman. What does Evander Kane add that Hyman also brought to the lineup? Well, number one, some scoring touch, right? Evander Kane, he's fully healthy this season. Last year, he only played 2 games in the Cup Final, and he was pulled. He couldn't even sit. Like, he was in so much pain, he could barely even sit on the bench by the time the Cup Finals rolled around last year. Kane is in good health. And of course, Zach Hyman, even though he's out, Evander Kane can bring a scoring touch, and he brings that physical side and a bit of a nasty streak. You know, if anyone tries to do any funny business after whistles during the play, Evander Kane is going to be on the ice, and Evander Kane can play that game too. So I am expecting a very physical series between these two teams. I am expecting the Florida Panthers to be absolutely relentless on the forecheck. I'm expecting them to flip pucks in deep and then punish Edmonton's defense. I'm expecting board battles along the wall to be absolutely brutal. And I'm expecting at every chance Florida gets, when they put a puck on Stuart Skinner, they are going to be crashing the crease to try and get in his grill. If you're Evander Kane, you have to make sure that Florida understands that they cannot get away with that. On the first line, Corey Perry, that will be his job. Third line, that'll be Trent Frederick's job. And the fourth line, that'll be Vasily Podkolzin's job. Every single line on Edmonton has one of those players that can get in the grill of the opponent, but also kind of enforce the ice a little bit on their end as well. Now, just because they have players like Evander Kane that can enforce the ice surface doesn't mean that Florida won't still try to, physically hit somebody in a way that could potentially limit their ability to be 100% effective. Now, if you're the Oilers, if this happens, what do you do? What is the response? Do you just try and drop the gloves and fight them? Do you try and go after their players? Is it a tit for tat? Only the players will end up deciding, and of course the officiating. We will have to see how the officials call things. I would like to hope and imagine and pray that the officials, if they see any shenanigans, they call it as quickly as possible, nip it in the bud. I want to see these two teams, which, by the way, in my opinion, are the two best teams of the entire playoffs in the NHL. I want to see them play good, hard hockey. I thought last year in the finals, that's what we got. We got really good, hard hockey. We didn't get anything super dirty. We didn't get those headshots onto goaltenders that Sam Bennett was throwing with his elbow. Yes, after game 1 or near the end of game 1, I don't know who put Bouchard in the headlock, but in any case, we got good, hard, clean hockey. That's what I'm hoping to see in this series. Of course, because it is Florida and because the Oilers also have their own troublemakers as well, if things start getting out of hand, well, we'll have to find out. I think Florida, they're going to do everything they can to make sure things get out of hand for Edmonton. They're going to try and piss the Oilers off as much as humanly possible, and they're going to try and goad Edmonton into taking bad penalties, retaliatory penalties. If you're the Oilers, skate away. After whistles, skate away. Don't even engage. Make Florida frustrated. The biggest thing that I remember as a fan, my second favorite team, by the way, is the Boston Bruins. If you're new to the channel, you might be booing me and being like, wow, what a loser. Anyways, in 2014, Montreal against Boston in the second round in the Eastern Conference semifinal, the Montreal Canadiens drove me as a Bruins fan absolutely crazy because after every single whistle, that Bruins team, which had been known to be pretty bruisey, in terms of their play style, they remind me a lot of the current day Florida Panthers. They tried to get under the skin of Montreal after every whistle. After every single whistle, Boston kept trying to get into the grill of Carey Price, trying to piss off PK Subban. They were doing nonsensical things every single shift after whistles. And you know what Montreal did? You want to know what their players did? They just skated away. Carey Price, if he got snow showered, he would literally just skate out of his crease and pretend like nothing happened. Nobody on Montreal engaged with the Bruins, and that really made the Bruins mad. It threw them off their game because everything that they were doing that helped them succeed up to that point. We saw the way they bullied Vancouver in 2011. We saw the way Boston played to get to the Cup final in 2013. A team finally decided, you know what? We're not going to engage with this. We're not even gonna engage. We're not gonna retaliate. We're just gonna skate away and focus on hockey. This is what the Oilers have to do, in my personal opinion. Florida is going to try and get under their skin, focus on the hockey. That is incredibly important if you're an Oilers fan, and of course, if you're an Oilers player. Florida, they are playing for a legacy, a dynasty. They have a lot on their shoulders, a chip on their shoulder. A lot of Florida fans think that the media pundits are favoring Edmonton. From an Oilers fan perspective, I think things are pretty evenly split, but we will have to see. On defense, since I didn't really talk about the forwards, there's so much on the brain right now. I'm just so excited for the game. Of course, third line, before we get to the defense. Frederick, Henrique, and Brown historically have played very well together. 56% expected goals percentage. And on the fourth line, Podkolzin, Janmark, and Arvidsson. Again, a terrific fourth line. Good mix of speed, skill, a little bit of violence in there. You like to see that. 54.8 expected goals. Now, if Connor Brown cannot go, you will see Jeff Skinner play just like he did in Game 5 against the Dallas Stars. But I hope Connor Brown's good to go. I think Connor Brown adds just a little bit more than Jeff Skinner at this point. Especially when it comes to the speed game. I think Connor Brown's tenacity and the penalty kill really benefit with Brown in the lineup. Now, when it comes to the defense, of course, Edmonton, they got Mattias Ekholm back. Now, he's had a little bit of time to rest after his first game back in action in Game 5 against the Stars. I didn't think Ekholm looked terrible. I didn't think he looked great, but he will be instrumental in Edmonton's penalty kill as well. Evan Bouchard, of course, has been one of, if not the best overall defenseman in the entire postseason, and that's not to disrespect guys like Aaron Ekblad or Seth Jones or, whoever it is you want to point to. I'm just saying I think overall Evan Bouchard's metrics and on-ice performance have made him the best defenseman so far, but there's a lot of hockey left to be played. Florida can decide, you know what, we have the best D-men, and we may see that. Florida has a ton of depth on D, by the way. They score a lot of goals from the blue line. On the second pair, you'll likely have Nurse with Kulak. They have a 48% expected goal share. Now, I don't know if that's a pair that I want to see together long-term. I preferably would like to see Kulak with Bouchard and then maybe Nurse with Ekholm. However, you cannot split up Wallman and Klingberg. Them two together have 59.6 expected goal share. They have been phenomenal, and they are two of Edmonton's better puck movers, and they're going to need them to be able to transport the puck in this series. The way Florida forechecks is if you can't transport the puck quickly, if you can't get it to a forward on the breakout in transition, that's how Florida maintains all of that zone time. They take advantage of that. If you hesitate with the puck, if you're just going off the glass and out, you know what Florida's going to do? They're literally just going to grab the puck in the neutral zone, flip it back in, and force you to chase it again until you get tired. You can't get a change, and then they take advantage of it. So Edmonton's defense has to transport the puck. It's just vital in this series. They have to be able to transport it. And, of course, having Wallman and Klingberg over guys like Ceci and Desharnais last year, and to a lesser extent Philip Broberg, I think Edmonton is much better on the back end than they were last season. In goal, you'll have Stuart Skinner get the start. He has a .253 GAA, a .904 save percentage, and a plus 2.6 goals saved above expected. Now, a lot of people say Florida has the edge in goal in this series. Well, if you look at just Skinner and Bobrovsky, yes. Bobrovsky, of course, is in a tier above Stuart Skinner, potentially a couple tiers, actually. But if Stuart Skinner, if he falters, the Oilers have a very reliable backup in Calvin Pickard that they could put into games, whether, if Stu lost the first two games and then you put Calvin Pickard in for Game 3, the Oilers have two goalies that they are comfortable playing, whatever the situation is, whatever the series number is at, or maybe if Sam Bennett decides to get an elbow in on Skinner's head, Skinner already had a concussion this year, Calvin Pickard can go in. Now, would you trust, if you're a Florida Panther fan, would you trust Vanacek in net if something happened to Bobrovsky? I think that's the difference in goal here. Now, on paper, Bobrovsky's better than Skinner, but if for some reason either team needed to go to their backup, the Oilers have a huge edge there. You look at the extra forwards for Edmonton, Jeff Skinner, Noah Philp, Matt Savoy, Derek Ryan, Max Jones, all options for any potential forward or lineup change as the series progresses. And the major injury to Zach Hyman out for the postseason, but don't worry, the team is going to win this thing for him. I have a great feeling about that. Now, the Florida Panthers in the postseason, they are 12-5. They have the 6th best power play. Now, their road power play is very good. Their home power play is very, very bad. So if you're the Oilers on home ice tonight, you get to set the tone. Don't take an early penalty. Keep your sticks down. If you're going to take a penalty, it has to be worth it, right? Take one of those penalties that's worth it. Are you preventing a breakaway? Are you preventing an on-man rush? Are you in the offensive zone and you just have your stick above your head for some reason? The amount of high sticking penalties Edmonton has taken in the postseason so far is driving me nuts, all right? If you're the Oilers, make the penalty worth it. Make sure that it's a penalty that makes sense to take in the moment. No more of the stupid stick infractions. Keep your sticks down, all right? Because Florida, they will make you pay. Now, in saying that, if the Oilers get themselves a power play or two in this game, they're going to be difficult to beat. The Panthers have the best penalty kill in the playoffs, 87.9%. Quite the reverse from last year, where the Oilers had the better penalty kill. The Oilers were sitting over 90% at this point in the playoffs last season. The Florida Panthers penalty kill is terrific. They can be exposed a little bit. We've seen some odd man rushes against their power play, their penalty kill. Wait, hold on. What am I saying? Florida can transition. They can attack on the penalty kill. So if the Oilers have a power play, they have to be very careful here, especially guys like Brad Marchand. You know, he's always been known as a great penalty killer. Florida has a good mix of speed and physicality where they're going to be aggressive. And if you're the Oilers, if you're not whipping that puck around and getting shots on goal, you might as well just tell the refs, hey, we don't want the power play because it's not going to be worth it anyways. Now, Florida, they are the 3rd highest scoring team in the playoffs in terms of goals per game at 3.88. They are the best defensive team, 2.29 goals against per game. Their expected goals ranks 3rd at 53.8%. Shots for percentage also ranks 3rd at 54.1%. And their team save percentage ranks 3rd at 90.36% in all situations. Now, if you take a look at the Oilers' power play, they rank 4th. They're sitting at 30%. Very respectable power play. It's the penalty kill where we get into trouble here. And the Oilers, they've been up and down on the kill. If you take away those first 2 games against the LA Kings, pretty sure the Oilers' penalty kill is clicking at about 73 or 74%, which it's not terrible, not great. I'd like Edmonton to find some consistency. They can't afford to take an early penalty in this game and then have Florida, immediately capitalize on it. Whatever the first penalty is in this series for Edmonton, if they get that kill on home ice, the crowd is going to give them a jolt of energy, and that'll be huge moving forward. Now, the Oilers, they are the best offensive team in the postseason so far. They score 4.06 goals per game, which ranks number 1. However, because of how strong defensively Florida is, watch for that number to drop probably fairly significantly as the series progresses. So the longer it goes, the tighter these games are going to be. I think the first couple of games are going to be high scoring, especially this one. But as the series progresses, adjustments are going to be made, and then things tighten up even more. I think because of the long layoff for both clubs, I think tonight is going to be one of those high scoring, fun shootout type games. But I don't think that's going to be the norm. For the Oilers, yes, they score a lot, but they have to also make sure they're defending well. They're the 4th best goals against average team in the playoffs, 2.81 GAG. Expected goals, they rank number 1 in all situations, 54.8%. So they are a great puck possession, a possession control type team. Shots for percentage, they rank 4th at 53.9%. And their team save percentage ranks 5th at 89.63%. Now, let's jump into the keys to the game, the players to watch, and, of course, what the score prediction is going to be at the very end here. Keys to the game for the Oilers. Number 1, get that first goal. The Oilers in the Dallas series, after they gave up that lead in the 3rd period of Game 1, the Oilers, they ended up losing 6-3. McDavid and Draisaitl had a quick little glance on the bench at each other like, huh? It's like they both collectively went, yeah, we're not going to fall behind at any other point in this series. And they didn't. The Oilers did not trail at any point over the next 4 games after they dismantled the Stars in 5. If you're the Oilers, getting that first goal, getting the lead is so important, especially this time of year. If you force your opponent to chase, and if they're chasing consistently, we saw it with Dallas. By the time the 3rd period rolled around in basically every game in that series against Edmonton, other than Game 1, Dallas looked tired. At no point do the Oilers look tired. In Florida, they never look tired. Florida and Edmonton, they both could just go and go and go. However, Florida also plays with the lead very often. So if you're Edmonton, get the lead. And how do you get the lead? Well, this brings us to our second key to the game, transporting the puck, especially to your forwards. If you're Edmonton, you have to transport the puck to forwards in transition so that, 1, you can attack on the rush, Or two, you can get clean zone exits with puck control. If you need to dump it after you hit the red line, that's fine, right? You deal with that based on where players are. You adapt on the fly. But if you're not transporting that puck, that's when Florida's forecheck becomes aggressive. That's where it always looks like they have three guys pressuring puck carriers at all times. If Florida can't get set up properly, they are a good defensive team. So Florida, let's just pretend, Tkachuk dumps the puck in the corner. Klingberg grabs it quickly and throws it up the half wall to McDavid, and then McDavid skates it out of trouble. Well, Florida won't be caught deep in the Oilers' zone because they'll have seen Klingberg grab it immediately and start transporting. Florida is very good at reading plays and then staying back in the neutral zone. They do play a very, very structured, disciplined game in the neutral zone. If the Oilers can transport the puck, force Florida to stay back a bit, that's when Edmonton's speed game can really make a difference here. And number three, key to the game for Edmonton, ignore the post-whistle scrums. You know Florida is going to try and get under your skin. Ignore everything. If Tkachuk says something, don't even engage. Don't say anything back, right? There's a job to do if you're the Oilers, and the only thing that should be on your mind is winning the Stanley Cup. And at this point in this game, the only thing that should be on your mind is getting the next goal and winning the hockey game. Don't even get involved. Don't even trash talk. Don't say a word. They want you to. Florida wants you to. Don't do it. I want to see the Oilers have a mature game here. Now, for Florida, number one key to the game for them, set the tone, right? Look for Florida to try and set the tone early. The play style of both teams, the way they want to match up against Edmonton. Look for Florida to set the tone physically and tactically. Paul Maurice, you know he's roaring and ready to go here. And if you're the Oilers, you got to be ready for that quick attack. I think Florida is going to be very aggressive right off the hop, and they're going to try and get the Oilers crowd out of it as soon as humanly possible. That's where you hope Stu is ready to make some big saves early, but also setting the tone in different aspects of the game. The post-whistle scrums, they're going to see what they can get away with in the post-whistle scrums. They're going to see what they can get away with physically, and they're going to see what the Oilers' reaction is. The Panthers have a chance to set that tone. Number two, punish the D. The only way Florida, in my opinion, will be able to properly get set up on their forecheck is by punishing Edmonton's defense. Prevent them from being able to transport the puck quickly and, punish them over and over and over. And then the longer the series goes, the more that benefits Florida, because the weaker Edmonton's D will become, the more injury potential will rise on Edmonton's defense. So if you're Florida, punish Edmonton's D. And number three, take the crowd out of it. Rogers Place is going to be a hornet's nest, and Florida knows that. They played in that building last year. They lost Game 4 and Game 6 in that building to a crowd that was just ridiculous and all over them. If you're Edmonton, you have to understand how important your home crowd is. They are the seventh man for you, right? If you're Oilers and you're the Oilers fans, you have to understand how important your role is at Rogers Place tonight. Be so loud that Florida doesn't properly think about the plays they're making and they can't take you out of it. That, my friends. Oh, no, I actually forgot the players to watch. I don't know why I was just skipping to the end. Players to watch, number one for Edmonton, Connor McDavid. And, of course, for the Florida Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk. Why did I pick those two players specifically for this game? There's history there, right? Four Nations this year. Connor McDavid scored the Four Nations winning goal for Team Canada. Matthew Tkachuk, he was injured, only played a couple shifts in that gold medal game. But these two players also have history dating back to when Tkachuk was on the Calgary Flames. Of course, McDavid scored the OT winner in Game 5 that knocked the Flames out, which eventually led to Tkachuk being traded to Florida. Those two players specifically as well in the handshake line after the Cup final last year. Matthew Tkachuk, when he shook McDavid's hand, said, "Hey, we'll see you here next year," or something to that effect. "We'll see you next year." And McDavid, of course, had his little moment. Like, they had that moment. Look for those two players specifically to have the biggest impact for their teams. There's a lot for both of them to prove right now, and I expect great games from both of them. So what is my score prediction after all of that? After Unk has been yapping for the past 23 or almost 24 minutes, what's my score prediction? You know what? I was hesitant at first to be like, Edmonton is for sure winning this game because we know how the Oilers come out with extended breaks. That first game against Dallas, I predicted an Oilers loss, and they did end up losing it. And then it was just, the Oilers got into their groove. But I'm feeling so good and so positive, and we are just feeling the vibes right now. I'm going with a huge Oilers win in Game 1. I'm going to say 5-3 Edmonton. like I said, I think we're going to have a bit of a high scoring game. I think it's going to be exciting. I think both teams are going to open it up a little bit more than the coaching staff wants. But as the series progresses, we will see both teams really tighten things up. But it's going to be fun for game one. I can't wait. I know all of you fans at home can't wait. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you really liked it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Of course, I will be live streaming tonight on YouTube. I cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun to hang out with everyone once again. And let's go Oilers. Tell someone that you love them before the game. And as always, fight like a kid, fight like Ben. Let's go Oilers. Let's get this show on the road. Let's go.